Welcome to Ampyre Sessions, where discovery meets rebellion. This is the show that takes you, the listener, and all of us on a journey through the world of music, the riffs, the legends, the hidden stories, and the lessons that fuel creativity. Here we break down the craft, the culture, and the chaos of sound, making it raw and unforgettable. Whether you're a musician, a fan, or you're just hungry for knowledge, Ampyre is your backstage pass to the rebellion of audio. So plug in, turn up. This is Ampyre Sessions. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Dustin. Today's episode, guys, I am excited, extremely excited to bring you guys this one because we dig into an artist who's been misunderstood in their career, an artist who's been underestimated, written off, celebrated, dismissed, and reborn, all in the span of a single career. Any guesses? Any guesses? Probably a bunch of those, right? But the one that I'm going to talk about, this one might shock you. One that I'm going to talk about is someone more modern. We're talking about KeSha, okay? Not the meme, not the glitter-covered party girl persona, but not even the tabloid caricature. And we're talking about the artist, okay? The writer, the survivor, the reinventor. This is how the story of KeSha went from an overnight pop sensation to an industry cautionary tale, to one of the most resilient and creatively liberated artists of the last decade. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is an artist spotlight on KeSha. We'll start with the early years. Girl behind the glitter. Who was she? So, of course, we know KeSha. Her S in her name was a $sign, right? So, with KeSha, before the neon, before the wild child image, KeSha Rose, and I apologize if I butcher her last name, Siebert, was a kid growing up in Nashville with a single mom who wrote songs for a living. And here's the part that most people don't know, guys. KeSha grew up around songwriting. She didn't grow up around partying. Her mom, PB Siebert, co-wrote hits for other artists. KeSha grew up in studios absorbing the craft. Okay, not many people know she was also academically gifted. She scored near perfect on her SATs. She was accepted into a prestigious college, but then ultimately turned it down to pursue music. She hustled hard. She worked odd jobs. She recorded demos. She cold called producers, and what many people don't do anymore nowadays, she crashed industry parties just to hand out her CDs. This wasn't an overnight success story. It was a grind. The quote-unquote party girl persona was a character, not her personality. And I think that's one of the most important things people need to remember about this, okay? This is important because the image that made her famous was not who she was. At the end of the day, guys, it was her label that was a marketing strategy. And the strategy would eventually become her cage. Now, let's go into that, okay? The breakthrough of her career. Tik Tok in the pop machine. Now, you might be thinking, cool, you're thinking about TikTok, the app. I'm not, okay? I'm not. So in 2009, KeSha exploded onto the scene with a song that is most famous of hers called TikTok, a song that became a cultural phenomenon. But here's the twist, guys. She didn't make a dime from her biggest early hit. She wasn't credited as a featured artist on the track she sang on before her debut. She didn't get royalties for certain early work, or for some of her certain early work. She was still broke, even when she became famous. Let's be honest, too, her persona was engineered. The messy hair, the glitter, the I don't care attitude, the hard party aesthetic. It was a character designed to sell records. She was writing her own songs, but people forget this. KeSha wasn't a puppet. She was a songwriter with a very distinct, beautiful voice. The industry wanted her to stay inside of a box, okay? Once the party girl image worked, the machine wanted more of it. More glitter, more chaos, more wildness. People love seeing the wild child. But let me ask you guys a question out there. How long do you think someone with that type of persona that isn't really their personality is going to last? It doesn't last long. But behind the scenes, she was struggling with the disconnect between the persona and who she actually was as a person. So let's move on to her downfall, okay? So the fall, industry pressure, and personal breaking points. This is the part of KeSha's story that gets really complicated. And we're going to handle it respectfully, guys, because without making any legal claims, because this was a mess. It was a mess. Or we're not even going to speculate unresolved matters. But here's what we can talk about of the fall of her career, okay? The pressure she was under was relentless. She was touring nonstop. She was recording nonstop. She was expected to maintain a persona that just wasn't sustainable. Can you imagine waking up 24/7, 365, and your job is to party? Dude, I can't. At some point, that just becomes a physically just dogging side of you. It's terrible, okay? The second point, the public perception turned on her, and it wasn't fair. This goes back to an earlier episode where I quoted that we have a certain expectation of an artist, and when they can't live up to that potential, that's when we start turning on them a little bit because we're used to one sound and we're not getting it. This is so unfair to her, though. The public perception turned on her. Okay. People dismissed her as a joke. Critics wrote her off. The persona overshadowed the talent, which she had an immense amount of. She struggled with mental and physical health, something I didn't even know about her. She entered treatment for an eating disorder. She spoke openly about pressure to look a certain way. She talked about losing control of her own image. Okay. And the fourth point, she became the center of a long, highly publicized legal battle. We won't get into details about that at all. It's not our lane. But what matters for this episode is it put her career on pause. It put her life under a microscope that was completely unfair, and it forced her to rebuild from the ground up. Now, as we notice resilient artists, yes, they might change their sound, but they come back. That's the point, right? So, what's the next segment? Exactly. The reinvention, Rainbow and the return of the artist. As many people know, in 2016, KeSha released Rainbow. Everything changed. This wasn't a comeback. It was a rebirth, okay? The sound was different. It was less electro pop, more rock, more soul, more raw vocals, more live instrumentation. The themes were deeper. Healing, resilience, identity, freedom, and most all of what she needed was self-worth. Critics finally, at this point, took her seriously. And it's amazing to see because this album earned Grammy nominations. Reviewers praised her songwriting. People realized she wasn't just a gimmick. She was an artist. She reclaimed her narrative. Rainbow wasn't just an album, it was a statement. And here's what it said: I'm more than what the industry made me. And that message resonated with millions of people. And I think a lot of people nowadays can also, even to this day in 2026, instead of 2017, almost a decade later, people, I think, still can relate to that statement. You're not what others people make you. And I wish people would realize that. The evolution, high road, gag order, and artistic freedom. So, what happened post 2017? After Rainbow, KeSha continued to evolve musically, emotionally, and creatively. High Road in 2020 was a blend of pop, introspection, and experimentation. She showed she could still deliver bangers without losing depth. Gag Order in 2023 is a more darker, more experimental record. Remember that word, especially when artists have comebacks and they have to change their sound or adapt. Keyword is always experiment. She had minimalist productions with that, raw vocals, themes of identity, silence, and transformation. Okay. She's no longer chasing hits, which is amazing to see in an artist. KeSha is making music she wants to make, not what the machine wants her to. Not what the persona demands of her to do, and not what the charts expect. She's become a symbol of artistic autonomy. Her story resonates with musicians, creatives, survivors, and anyone who has felt trapped by expectations. She's proof that reinvention is possible, even after the world writes you the hell off. So why KeSha matters? That's the biggest question, right? Why do I bring her up into an artist spotlight? So KeSha matters because it's a blueprint, or should I say she is a blueprint for resilience. Because it shows the difference between an image and who an actual artist is. Because it exposes the pressure of this industry and the cost of fame. It really shows that you could be put in a situation that isn't you at all whatsoever. And you know it's not, but you still have to ride with it because it's what you do, right? You're an artist, you're a performer. You love to create. Sometimes it is unfair. Music is unforgiven. Because it reminds us that reinvention isn't possible. It's powerful, guys. And because KeSha represents something bigger than pop music at the end of the day. She represents the fight for creative freedom. Something a lot of people at the end of the day, I think, forget. You are in control of your own destiny. So, without further ado, that is it for today's episode of Ampyre Sessions. We talked about the rise, the fall, the reinvention of KeSha. Okay? There's a couple things I need from you guys. So, the first one, if you know of anyone who's a big KeSha fan, pop fan, anything like that, if I messed anything up, please fill up, go like, share, subscribe, and also comment, guys. I love comments. Comment to see if there's anything I missed and anything that you guys could add. That would be huge. Also, if you guys want to join the Ampyre, please go to www.ampyresessions.com. From there, hit my backstage pass if you would like full-length video episodes, exclusive interviews, members-only discounts, access to live links to actually join me on this journey live when I record these. And then much, much more coming in the future. If you guys want to do that, see if that's for you. It is a membership, so you would have to subscribe. I'm not trying to sell it on you, but even if you don't sign up, guys, anything on social media helps. A like, a share, subscribe, follow. Anything you guys can do, I appreciate it. Appreciate everyone taking the time to actually sit here and listen to me blab about artists and something that I've been passionate about since I was a kid. So I love music. I hope you love music too, and I hope you love me blabbing about it. But yes, please check out that backstage pass, www.ampyresessions.com. You've been listening to Ampyre Sessions, where discovery meets rebellion. The journey doesn't stop here, guys. Keep exploring. Keep creating, keep the fire alive. Until next time, stay loud, stay bold, and never fade into the noise. This was Ampyre Sessions.